one of the great secrets in life to becoming successful, whether it's in a business, whether it's working with someone or for someone or in your own personal life, and I learned this selling encyclopedias door to door in my early 20s, is be prepared in life for a lot of rejection. Because if you're prepared for a lot of rejection, it comes, you don't get turned off, you don't get disappointed, like, well, I'm not going to do this anymore. No one thinks it's a good idea. It's like I say selling encyclopedias, knock on 100 doors, they slam them in your face. You must be just as enthusiastic on door number 101 as door number 1. And that's one of the real secrets. And growing up as kids in downtown LA, we all knew that. We didn't have a lot. We knew there's a lot of things that are going to turn you down. At 7, trying to sell a flower pot on the street, most people said no, but it's only 50 cents. No, no, no. Soon a waitress in a little restaurant said, only 50 cents? That's really great. She bought it from us. And we went and built another one. It's just like your viewers of your fabulous show here. They've just heard me say that. Now, if they write that on a piece of paper, be prepared for a lot of rejection. Whether it's in their personal life, that someone says, you're too old, you're too fat, you're too young, you're not going to do anything other than yes. You've got holes in your nose, you got things coming out your ears. Whatever is other than yes, this is wonderful, realize that's going to happen in life. As soon as people know that, when something goes wrong, they look at a piece of paper, oh yeah, that reminds me. The other quote that I give people a lot, especially entrepreneurs, is any business you're in, whether it's a service or whether it's a product, or anybody you work with that has a product or a service, always make sure that your product or your service is of the highest quality you could ever make it, because you do not want to be in the selling business. You want to be in the reorder business. Granted, you've got to tell somebody what your idea is, and how it's going to cure something they may need. But the quality has to be so good that after that they want to reorder it, or if it's a one-time item, tell friends about it. And if people think in whatever they're doing in life, be in the reorder business, whether it's with a personal relationship, whatever you see right now, you're going to see again and again and again. It's going to enhance. There'll be ups and downs. Here's my product. It's so darn good, you're going to use it. We started Paul Mitchell. We had no money, but we knew our product was so darn good that if we got in the hands of enough people, they're going to be reordering it because it was that quality. Average encyclopedia salesman lasted 3 days. I was at it for 3.5 years. And the way it worked in those days, it was commission only. So the way it worked is you went for an interview, they told you all you could possibly make off commission only, and we were in training for 3 days. It was a presentation that was scripted. We'd have to memorize the whole thing. Well, when you got in the field, you remember parts of it. You knock on doors, you're not quite sure of yourself, a lot of doors are closed in your face. But what happens after a while, you start getting used to it, and you see what you can say or do that'll make it better. Or when you go back the next day with your other salespeople, what you see, what you do, what did I say? So let's say I knock on 100 doors to get into one. Give 10 presentations to sell one book. But then when you get better and better at it, through your experiences and losses along the way, it sharpens you up. Where all of a sudden I got to a point where if I gave 3 presentations, I have no less than 1 order, commission only. But I believed that I could do that. I believed that Collier's were the best set of books because a high school student could read it. It wasn't like a college manual you had to read, and I was doing something good for somebody. So you have to believe that what you're doing is good, it's going to benefit somebody, and you learn as you go. Okay, do I look someone in the eye? See, a lot of people don't know these things. Look someone in the eye. All too often people say, it's hard to look someone in the eye because you feel uncomfortable. Of course you do. They're not on the same wavelength you're on, or the same frequency. So what do? How do you overcome that? You learn these things along the way. Smile's the most wonderful thing God gave us. And you don't smile when you first talk to somebody. You smile before you knock on their door. And if your day sucks, you fake it. Hi, how you doing? Because when you smile, everything changes. People change. Sometimes you don't know what the hell to do. You're just out there doing it, and you just kind of learn from your own experience or go with whatever your heart tells you to do. And if something goes wrong, you ask somebody, God, here's what I said. Was that right? You just kind of improve yourself. But many times if you're there, you don't have an answer, go with your heart. Give an answer, just say, I really don't know, but I'm going to find out and I'm going to get back to you. What do I want to be doing, and how do I do that? Well, the first thing is you got to have an income, you got to have a job. Then I just started getting it together, and things fell in place. Now, along the way, there were jobs I had where I was fired at those jobs for the dumbest reasons in the world. But each one I was fired from taught me something. There were 3 companies in the beauty industry I worked with. I was the vice president of 2 of them and the national manager of 1 of them. And each one of my divisions did very well while I was there. In one case, I was the trainer for the whole company, and they grew 50% in millions of dollars while I was there.
Wow.
Shortly after I started with $700, John Paul Mitchell Systems. 2 years later, something flashed in my mind. Wow, there is something called fate. There is something called your destiny. If you don't do it, be open, it could do it for you. Had I not worked for all 3 companies, it would have been impossible to start John Paul Mitchell Systems with $700 or any amount of money. Each company I reflected taught me a different thing. One about the beauty industry and distribution. The other one about making products and bringing top artists in. The other one about how to make these bottles, these products, where to get it. All 3 were stepping stones for me, and I never knew it. Goes back to what we were talking about, rejection. Be prepared for a lot of rejection. If every time something goes bad where you're rejected or turned down for something, if one can remember that, be prepared for it. We let all the companies know what we do and why we do it. We have a culture. I'll give you an example. We have got almost 120 Paul Mitchell schools throughout the United States, cosmetology schools. Every one of them has to be involved in our culture. Not only do you learn how to be a great hairdresser, hairstylist, great colorist, right? But you have to be part of the culture. They raise money. Every school we have has to raise money every year. Part of that money goes to the local community, part to the nation, and part to the world. They learn in school while it's good to give and help others out. And they also learn what our principles are. Now, we started at John Paul Mitchell Systems, a very unique position. The lady that's running it, her name is Mara Gordine, and she is our ambassador of corporate culture. So what she does is goes around to our whole company, make sure everybody is reminded of our culture, what we do. All new people must go through an indoctrination on what our culture is all about. And then recently, because we do so much stuff people don't know about, we started a magazine over the internet that goes through a whole universe and their universes that shows what we do as a company to share and change the entire world. Well, everyone connected with us is part of that, whether it's buying a new Coast Guard cutter for the Sea Shepherd to protect whales in the open seas, whether it's taking care of 7,000 orphans in Africa whose parents have died of AIDS, whether it's redoing Appalachia, whether it's here in Los Angeles, Chrysalis, getting homeless back to work. They're all part of it. All the things we're doing in this country, so they all feel like they're part of it. Well, when you're part of something really big, and people take care of you and love you, and you know if something went wrong, you can immediately get a hold of the co-founder of the company, me, and talk to me directly. I live mainly in Austin, Texas, but if I'm traveling the world, which I do a lot, you get all my executive assistant and say, we want to talk to JP privately. If any time someone screws up, don't ever, ever reprimand them in public. Always reprimand them behind closed doors, one-on-one, so nobody hears. If they hear it, they're going to be covert hostile to you. They'll stab you in the back every chance. It's the opposite for praise. If someone does something good, praise them loudly in front of as many people as you can, even if it's one person. It makes them feel good and they were acknowledged in front of others. Little things like this helps keep that culture going.